Let's go over the basics for hosting a webinar in Splash Studio. I highly recommend you familiarize yourself with all of the tools I'm about to show you well before the day of the webinar. The place to start is going to be your Splash Studio hosting link. This is a link that will be provided to you by the Splash team. Each event you do will have a unique studio link that will be used for both hosting and rehearsing. So all hosting, all rehearsing happens on the Splash Studio link that you will never share with anyone but your co-presenters. You'll start by entering your display name and your email. You can even upload a photo if you'd like to. Then hit Join Session. Before you join Backstage and go to your presenter tools, I recommend taking a look at the placeholder text on this screen right here. Your guests will see this welcome screen before you go live, so you have the option to edit the message. To edit it, just hit Edit Placeholder and then update the input right here before publishing. All right, let's go backstage. We'll allow our microphone and camera. Okay, now we're in our hosting console. The first concept I want to teach you about is the concept of being on stage or off stage. Right now I'm on stage, so if I were to go live, everybody who is on stage, which is just me right now, would be visible and can be heard by the audience. When you go backstage, you're literally waiting backstage where nobody can see you for the opportunity to go on stage and present. Now, one thing to note about this, if you are a host, not a presenter, if you are a host, people can still hear you if you're unmuted backstage. So you're likely going to want to remain on mute at all times backstage. The next thing you want to do is get your audio and video configured. So go on over to the three dots to the right and go to Settings. This is where you can configure your camera, your microphone, and your audio output. You can also use these three dots to select a virtual background, either uploading your own or using one of the default options. Down along the bottom of your webcam, you have your mute tool, your turn off video option, and your screen share option, which has a few different options that are pretty standard for sharing your screen. Always test this out well before the day of the webinar just to make sure your computer is properly configured with screen share access. Another content sharing option you have is on-demand video. It's found to the right over here using the three dots. You could paste in a Vimeo or YouTube link and hit share to switch to on-demand streaming.
But something else happened, the pandemic.
After you hit stop video, it's important to remember that you need to turn off the mute option. You're automatically muted as your video is playing. Now let's direct our attention to the right-hand sidebar. This is where all of the audience engagement happens. So starting with the chat, you are able to chat with the entire audience, chat with just folks who are on stage, that will be all of your co-presenters, and then a private chat in case you need to send a private message. The People tab will have every single person who is on the webinar, not just the audience, but also your co-panelists. Q&A is where you will view all the questions that have been submitted and upvoted. By marking a question as answered, it will take it out of the queue. And then you'll have your poll results right here. You could create and manage your polls by hitting the Create New Poll button. You can add as many poll questions as you need to. The recommendation is to add them in reverse order that you'd like them to be displayed to your audience. So you would add your last question first and your first question last. Now the button that's probably had your attention for most of the time is the Go Live button. Click this and then hit Yes, Go Live to initiate your broadcast. This will make it so everyone on stage and all your content is visible, and it will also automatically start recording your webinar, so you don't have to worry about doing that. Once it's time to end your webinar, you'll see your hang up tool to the left, and that will be curtains for the entire experience.